When the car finally stopped, the silence seemed to spread outward like a thick liquid. Snow fell slowly, heavily, covering the road they had taken only minutes before. In less than an hour, there would be no trace of the path behind them. The world would shrink to that valley, that building, that family. The Serra Branca Hotel stood ahead, looking like something that should not exist there. Too large, too old. Its dark wooden walls swallowed the weak afternoon light, and the windows reflected the grey sky like eyes without depth. Mateus felt the pressure in his chest before he even stepped out of the car. It was not ordinary fear. It was recognition. "It's awake," he murmured, almost without realizing he had spoken. Laura heard him, but pretended she hadn't. Elias did too. They both needed it to be just a building, just a job, just a hard winter. The hotel needed them to believe that. The doors opened with a long, deep creak, like a breath held for decades finally released. Inside, the lobby was too clean, too orderly. There was no real dust, no signs of true abandonment. It felt as if someone had just stepped out, or had never left at all. The silence was not empty. It pressed against the ears. It vibrated faintly. Mateus felt as though he had stepped inside a mind. Each footstep echoed longer than it should have. "It doesn't like us," the boy said, staring up at the ceiling. "It's just a place," Elias replied too quickly. But his eyes scanned the room as if he expected something to move. That night, Mateus could not sleep. The walls cracked softly. The wind howled through the corridors like distorted voices. Every time he closed his eyes, images surfaced. People he had never known. Faces blurred and unfinished, mouths open in silent screams. He sat up in bed, cold sweat running down his neck. "Tony," he whispered. The answer came weak, distant. "Don't listen too deep, it listens back." Mateus understood. The hotel did not merely hold memories, it paid attention. Elias woke early every morning to check the boiler, the hallways, the locks. Physical work helped quiet his thoughts, at least at first, but the hotel was patient. He began to notice small things out of place. A chair slightly moved, a glass he did not remember using, the faint smell of alcohol lingering in the air. On the third night, the bar was lit. "Just to relax," he told his reflection in the mirror. The reflection smiled back a second after he did. The voices were gentle, understanding. "You tried. They never saw your effort. Here, you can fix everything." Elias drank, and the hotel listened. Mateus started getting lost inside the Serra Branca. He turned a corner and ended up on a different floor. He opened a door and found a room that had not been there before. Sometimes the doors whispered different numbers as he passed. He saw things. A woman standing before a mirror, brushing hair that was no longer attached to her head. A man sitting on the frozen floor of a room, pounding the wall until his fingers broke. Children playing in complete silence, eyes entirely black. "They don't know they're dead," Mateus told his mother. "They think they're still here." Laura tried to hold on to her sanity. She tried to ignore the whispers she heard when she was alone. tried not to notice how the corridors seemed to narrow whenever Elias walked through them. The hotel learned quickly. It learned which memories hurt Elias the most. It learned which doubts gnawed at Laura. It learned that Matthias was different. The boy was not just sensitive, he was compatible. The hotel showed him everything. Lavish parties, false laughter, violence hidden behind closed doors. Every death planted like a seed within the walls. "Stay," the voices whispered. "Take care of us. You can listen forever." Matthias began to struggle to tell his own thoughts from the whispers. Elias changed. He stopped apologizing, stopped showing guilt. He spoke with a strange certainty, like someone who had finally found his purpose. "This place needs order," he said one night. "Some things need to be silenced." Laura felt real fear for the first time when she noticed how long his gaze rested on Matthias. That night, she dreamed the hotel locked its doors from the inside. The storm came without warning. The radio died. The clocks disagreed with each other. Some windows showed night, others showed a day that did not exist. Elias held something heavy in his hands when he called for his son. Matthias saw the future in broken flashes. He saw his father, and he did not. He saw the hotel growing like a living organism. He saw his own reflection multiplying across dozens of mirrors. He understood. The Serra Branca did not want to destroy the family. It wanted to continue. What happened that night was never fully understood. There were screams, there was fire, or perhaps only noises so old they sounded like explosions. When the snow finally gave way, Laura and Matthias were found walking down the road, hand in hand, eyes distant. Of the hotel, only ruins remained. Of Elias, nothing. Matthias grew up. He never spoke of that winter, never returned to the mountains. But sometimes when the silence grows too deep, he feels the same pressure in his chest. As if something is listening, as if something is waiting. And on very cold nights, when the wind blows just right, he hears it. Not with his ears, but far too deep to ignore. There are still empty rooms, and Matthias is never sure whether the voice comes from outside or from within.